Welcome to Homeschool Helps with Amanda. I'm Amanda Wares, Homeschool Helps Director with NCAG. Today we are going to be talking about developing a routine in your homeschool. So when I first started homeschooling, a lot of years ago, 19 years ago now, I had a 9-year old, a 4-year old, and a 2-year old. And a routine was absolutely necessary in our lives at that point just to get through every day. So I haven't shared this in a while. I thought I would talk about how I developed a routine for our days at that point with all kind of little kids and what that looks like now in my house with 3 grown and gone and just 1 teenager left at home. And it looks very different. So when I had all little kids at home and I was just getting started with homeschooling, I like to call it, I called it my 3 ring circus approach because I had 3 kids. Um, and what I found was if I could start our day, I would get the oldest going on something she could do independently, maybe a math lesson or a spelling worksheet or something like that, something, a reading, something she could do on her own. And then I would focus on the littlest one and fill her attention cup as much as I could. We would do something together, whatever that looked like, playing with something, or even my 2-year old at that point, she wanted to do learning activities. She was like a little sponge and was hungry to learn all the things. So we would do some kind of learning activity or something she really loved to do. And I found that even if I could spend, 15 or 20 minutes of focused time with the littlest one, then I could send her to play on her own or put her in the high chair and give her something to do. And she would be just fine to do that and not as demanding of my attention, while I shifted my focus then to the second ring of the 3 ring circus, the 4-year old. Um, and I would spend some focused time with him as well. And then I would send him and the 2-year old to go play together. They would go and do something, or I would set up some kind of activity for them to do so that I could then focus on the one on one things that I needed to do with the 9-year old, what she needed my time for at that point. And then after that, um, it was not as difficult once I had sort of filled the cups of the little ones one by one by one. Then we could all sit together. I could read to them. We would do our read alouds. We would make lunch and all of that. And then it just helped our day flow from there. Um, I also was almost rigid. I'm not a very type A rigid kind of person, but I was at that point in my life very routine oriented because with all little kids, I had to have a routine or we would not get through the day. So we very much had, this is when we make breakfast. This is when I spend time with the 2-year old. This is when I do the 4-year old. This is when I move on to the 9-year old. And then we would, like I said, read aloud. And then we would make lunch and have that. And then we would have a quiet time where everybody would rest or nap if they napped at that point. Um, so I think it's really important if you're whatever stage of life you're in, your routine might look a little bit different, but I think it's really helpful in our homeschool days to have some sort of routine. Now, is there flexibility within the routine? Of course there is. And there were times when it was such a blessing, like my mother um, broke her leg, and it was a blessing to be able to pack up and go and help grandma. There's always opportunities, and so it's okay to not be so rigid with the routine that you will um, refuse to let those opportunities of ministry or helping someone else out um, interrupt your routine, but I found day in and day out, it was really helpful to have that routine. Now, at this point in our life, I just have one child at home. He is 14. Our routine looks very different than it did when I had all little kids. And we're a lot more flexible, a lot more, our days look very different than they did, but we still have kind of a routine of what we do. You know, um, we know what to expect when we get up in the morning, and that's really helpful. So I hope that helps you as well, whether you have all little kids at home or whether you're in the stage that I am with maybe just a high schooler left. Either way, routine can be your friend, even if you are a not type A person, because I am that. So I really hope this helps today.